Councilmember Bankston, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, council is appreciative to have Pastor Fred Lamar, Senior Pastor at Family Missionary Baptist Church, to pray with us once again. Pastor, welcome back to council.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you. God, you are our refuge, you are our strength. You are a very present help in these troubled times. But God, we thank you, Lord, you allowed us to come together about kingdom building business. So God, we ask for your favor upon every city official, everyone that's working for the kingdom, and most of all, God, for this council. Bless the president and bless each and every member. God, give them wisdom and guiding and leading and making decisions that affect everyone in our community, in our city. We ask in Jesus' name, our servant's prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
This week's communications received by the city clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the city bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
Are there any resolutions, starting with Councilmember Bankston, or announcements? Councilmember Barosa de Padilla.
Good evening. I do have a couple of announcements this evening, Council President. So Tuesday, March 8th, marks International Women's Day. I said last meeting that it was last week. I was a week ahead. Is a global holiday celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. So happy early International Women's Day. Wednesday, March 29th, is Asian American Pacific Islander, or AAPI, Women's Equal Pay Day. This marks the number of days into 2022 that AAPI women must work to make the same amount as their white male counterparts were paid in 2021. AAPI women make 85 cents for every dollar non-Hispanic white males make, and the National Women's Law Center wrote that the pay gap translates to a monthly loss of about $833 or an annual loss of around $10,000. And when we look past the average, some AAPI ethnic subgroups, particularly South Asian and Pacific Islander women, experience even bigger wage gaps and don't catch up till much later in the year. As I mentioned earlier in the month, joining my fellow council members, we will be highlighting both the achievements of women, but also the set of equal pay gaps throughout the year, actually, that will take place, highlighting this issue and what we can do about it collectively as a community. Also on consent agenda today, we have 21 reappointments and 12 new appointments for the Mideast, North Central, Milo Grogan, Greater Hilltop, and Westland area commissions. I want to send a big congratulations to all those folks elected to serve our community in this capacity. Our neighborhoods are the heartbeat of our city. It's where our people live, play, and build community, and we deeply appreciate all of our neighbors who care for our community and make our city better through their service as area commissioners. And my last announcement for the evening is that, as you may have enjoyed this weekend's weather, as the weather continues to warm up and the ice and the snow has melted away, you will see our friends, the potholes, or should I say our enemies, the potholes. So if you would see any potholes on your streets or on any major highways, please call 311 and the city will come out to fill out the pothole within 3 days of being reported. If for any reason you're having challenges getting ahead of public service or with 311, I invite folks to reach out to my office and we can assist you. Thank you.
you hear that call, Councilmember Barosa de Padilla about potholes. President Pro Tem.
Jessica Cáceres that you want to reach out to?
Thank you, President Harden. I just want to join my colleagues, Councilmember Favor and Councilmember Barosa de Padilla, in honoring International Women's Day tomorrow, and really urging everyone to take a moment to reflect on gender bias in their lives. There's not a corner of the world. It's important that we celebrate International Women's Day because there's not a corner of the world that isn't touched in some way by gender bias. And it's important that we take tomorrow and reflect on that. And I just want to add, part of my reflection tomorrow will be about the open hostility and really dangerous measures being pushed in states around the country against trans youth. That is a piece of gender bias as well, and exercising radical solidarity with everyone who identifies as women is an important part of International Women's Day. I will be particularly thinking about the trans youth in Texas who are, quite literally being targeted by state violence by their governor. And I'm thankful to the organizations in Ohio who are fighting back against anti-trans bills moving through our state house right now, particularly Equality Ohio. So happy International Women's Day tomorrow. And again, let's reflect on what we can do to address all forms of gender bias and gender violence in our world. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Councilmember Dorans.
Thank you, Council President, and we certainly have a theme here tonight about celebrating women. So I would like to introduce Resolution 0039X-2022 to commemorate National Women in Construction Week. This will recognize women in the construction industry and their contributions to the city of Columbus. And most of us have noticed that there's quite a few cranes here in Columbus operating every single day. So certainly that industry is important to everyone here in the city. National Women in Construction Week is celebrated March 6th through 11th to raise awareness and celebrate the work of women in the construction industry in the city of Columbus and across the country. Women remain an unrepresented group in the trades, and activities to improve women's recruitment and retention in skilled construction jobs are critically important to helping to close the workforce skills gap, build the middle class, and help the needs of our city. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, women make up almost 13% of the construction industry nationwide and about 12% here in the state of Ohio. That's why I've asked a representative from the Central Ohio Building Trades here tonight to accept this resolution and speak about their work growing the representation of women in the construction industry. Building Futures is a 12-week pre-apprentice program to help participants start their careers in Central Ohio's booming building trades industry. Last month, the first all-female building trades cohort started in this program. A cohort that I'm happy to say the Central Ohio Building Trades worked very closely with Columbus NAACP President Nana Watson on creating. Upon graduation, these women will have a direct path into a career that offers good pay, benefits including health care, retirements, which will help pave the way to their ability to join the middle class. Women in construction industry have contributed greatly to projects across Columbus and will continue to help our city grow. With that, I'd like to present this resolution to Kelly Harp of the Central Ohio Building Trades Council and asked her to give us a little bit of information about her work to help diversify the building trades, specifically for women in this industry. Kelly?
Council President Harding, Council President Pro Tempore Brown, Councilmember Dorans, and other distinguished members of Columbus City Council. It is an honor to be here tonight on behalf of the Columbus and Building Constructions Trade Council and Building Futures to accept this distinguished accolade. My name is Kelly Harp, and I currently serve as the Communications and Outreach Director for the Columbus Building Trades. The first image of a construction worker that comes to mind is a big, burly man. However, women in organized labor are changing the way people think about what a construction worker looks like. When little girls look to who is providing labor on projects such as the Hilton Hotel expansion, at the Convention Center, the Franklin County Jail, they will see women that look just like them. Since March is Women's History Month and March 6th through 11th is National Women in Construction Week, it's important to discuss the large impact female construction workers have made here in Columbus and across the country. One cannot talk about the role of women in the construction field without discussing the role of women in organized labor. Women represented by labor unions, such as those that compose the Columbus and Central Ohio Building and Construction Trade Councils, earn 30.9% more per week than their non-union counterparts. The union advantage is even bigger in minority communities, where women in organized labor make 42.1% more than their non-union counterparts. One of the main reasons women in construction industries do so well is because the building trades union contracts require equal pay for equal work. Women in labor have long played a strong role in advocating for policies that help all workers, such as paid family and medical leave, family health care, and child care subsidies. We are honored to have just started our 9th Building Futures cohort and our first all-female cohort. Together with the unwavering support of the Council, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, Franklin County Jobs and Family Services, the Columbus Urban League, and the Columbus chapter of the NAACP, we are placing 14 women on the direct path to the middle class, while also providing them with weekly stipends, full wraparound services, and that help eliminate barriers to employment and job and apprenticeship placement. We strive to create a world where little girls everywhere will have hard hats and safety vests in their dress-up boxes right next to their princesses' gowns and tiaras. The role of women in the construction trades has grown exponentially, and we hope to continue and see and expand upon this growth in the future. Thank you again for the support.
Thank you, Kelly. I think it's helpful for us we had a colleague of mine recognizing Equal Pay Day for AAPI women. And to your point, under a collective bargaining agreement, equal pay day is every single week when you're covered by a collective bargaining agreement. I did also want to shout out the organizations that you mentioned that have helped to fund Building Futures over the years. And I also want to thank my colleagues for their strong support for that program during my time in council as well. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments for Kelly? Seeing none, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Favor. Councilmember Remy. All right. Well, this evening I have a resolution. It's to honor Pastor Frederick Lamar, who just graced us with the prayer this evening. Pastor Lamar, would you come forward as I read Resolution 0031X-2022? And it's to honor Pastor Frederick V. Lamar for his 25 years of service and leadership as pastor of Family Missionary Baptist Church. Since 1997, Pastor Lamar served as pastor of a Family Missionary Baptist Church in Columbus. He was ordained as a deacon in 1985, licensed as a gospel preacher in 1987, and ordained an elder of the church in 1994. Pastor Lamar has touched the lives of many in the city through his efforts in outreach, community involvement, and advocacy for the Livingston Avenue corridor and many others. I think all of us who look to leadership in the clergy owe Pastor Lamar a huge debt of gratitude for doing the work that so many don't do and being close to the pain, the hurt, the struggle, and being solution-oriented along the way. Ever since I've been engaged in city government, we've always looked to Pastor Lamar for leadership and certainly for advocacy on behalf of those who need it the most. Specifically around safety. And so congratulations on 25 years, but more so, thank you for your leadership and the work that you have done. It has saved lives, and I think that we all know that and have seen it in person and in action. So we're very grateful. And on top of all the work that you have done, even in the last couple of years during the pandemic, working with our young people in the community, we're very grateful for your time and leadership in this city. Before I turn it over to Pastor Lamar, I want to see if there are any comments from my colleagues. With that, I will turn it over to Pastor Lamar.
All I want to say, Brother President, and to all the members of this council, that I'm happy to have my wife here, my wife for life. I call her. Been married since we was teenagers. Yeah. I thank God for her putting up with me. Got my daughter here. But I just want to thank y'all for just even allowing us this time to come and be recognized for the work we're doing. I want to give a shout out to my church for putting up with me for 25 years. God bless you and God bless you. Thank you.
With no further comments, I move for adoption. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Are there any comments by our elected officials that may be joining us virtually? City Attorney's Office, our judicial friends, or the City Auditor? Hearing none. At this time, I request the following ordinance be removed from the consent action portion of the agenda. Health and Human Services, Ordinance 0547-2022. Are there any other requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you now read into the record ordinances and numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda?
Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinances 593 and 599-2022. Finance Committee, ordinance 601-2022. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 514, 533, and 594-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Seeing no speakers on first reading, the following ordinances appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Resolutions of expression 38X and 41X-2022. Economic Development Committee, Resolution 32X-2022. Technology Committee, ordinances 504 and 527-2022. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinances 400, 471, 508, 531, and 553-2022. Finance Committee, ordinance 420-2022. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinance 389-2022. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 404, 442, 445, 483, 495, 498, 506, 513, 523, 563, 564, 573, 587, 602-2022. Housing Committee, ordinances 406 and 557-2022. Health and Human Services Committee, we don't have Health and Human Services since that was removed. Public Safety Committee, ordinance 396 and 558-2022. Environment Committee, ordinance 548-2022. Appointments from the Mayor's Office, numbered A0025, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, and 58-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions or comments on the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, and we don't have any speakers on that agenda, may I have a motion for approval? Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bankston.
Yes, with the exception of ordinance 0564-2022, on which I am abstaining.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla.
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
Yes, with the exception of 0557, on which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Dorans.
Yes.
Ms. Favor. Mr. Remy.
Yes.
President Harden.
Yes. Consent portion of the agenda is passed with the noted exceptions. We're going to go a bit out of order this evening. We're going to go to the Health and Human Services Committee in Ordinance 0683, and that committee is chaired by Chair Favor. Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Tonight in Health and Human Services, we have Ordinance 683-2022 to repeal Ordinance 2388-2021 pertaining to the wearing of face coverings in response to the spread of COVID-19 and to declare an emergency. Tonight, we are about 2 years out from when the state of Ohio declared a state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 2 years later, COVID has become part of our everyday life. We have made tremendous advancements to fighting this virus, including vaccines, boosters, making testing widely available, and increasing our knowledge on how to reduce the spread of the virus. A little over a week ago, the CDC shared an updated guidance taking into account new variables to determine what COVID safety measures counties should use. According to this new guidance, Franklin County is now in the yellow or medium level of community transmission. In the medium category, masks are not required indoors. At last Monday's night council's meeting, the Commissioner of Columbus Public Health, Dr. Myshika Roberts, shared that she is supportive of repealing the mask mandate starting tonight, March 7th, based on the updated CDC guidance. This week out date was chosen for a few reasons, including giving public and private entities time to adjust their mask policies, to ensure the current case and hospitalization trends continue over 10 days, or 2 incubation periods, as well as the Arnold Classic event that just ended this past weekend. While the pandemic is not over, the situation has changed, and we are in a new phase of the pandemic. I bring this legislation forward tonight because I believe this is the right time. While masks may no longer be required in the city of Columbus, I strongly encourage residents who are immunocompromised, those who test positive, or if you are around someone who is unable to be vaccinated, to please continue to wear a mask. And to all of our eligible residents to get vaccinated. It is our best chance against keeping COVID-19 under control. And as of today, we're around 233,000 vaccines issued total in Franklin County. We should be proud of ourselves, our neighbors, our healthcare workers, and leaders here today. But the pandemic is far from over, and it will take all of us to continue to keep our communities healthy. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Edward Johnson, Public Health Policy Director with Columbus Public Health. Edward?
Thank you, Chair Favor. Thank you, President Harden, and members of Columbus City Council. This evening, you have this ordinance before you for consideration as Council Member Favor
Edward, if you
stated.
could hold on for just a moment, let us fix your volume. We can't hear you that well. All right, floor is yours.
Can you hear me now?
That's much better. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Chair Favor. Thank you, President Harden, and members of Columbus City Council. As Chair Favor stated, Franklin County and Columbus are currently on the medium level in terms of community burden of COVID-19. In terms of those metrics, that means that we are at 57 cases per 100,000 in the last 7 days. Our hospital admission rate is down to 10.4 per 100,000 in the last 7 days. And the number of inpatient beds occupied by COVID-19 patients in our community is at 3.5%. These are wonderful numbers. We are on the cusp of descending down to the low category. We aren't quite there yet. Of note as well, our positivity rate in Columbus and Franklin County currently stands at 2.95%. And so for those reasons, and consistent with the guidance that we have shared with Columbus City Council over the duration of the pandemic, with 2 back-to-back incubation periods at a low or moderate transmission rate, we feel comfortable with consideration of this ordinance to repeal requiring face coverings indoors in the city of Columbus. Thank you, Chair Favor, for bringing this forward, and thank you, council members, for considering it this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. In the future, if Franklin County goes to a red level, would you suggest or have us consider another mask mandate?
I think that our advice to the community would be to wear a mask if we ascend the community burden metric to red or a high level of COVID community burden, because that means our hospitals and other facilities are being stressed by the level of severe illness locally.
And that messaging would come from Dr. Roberts and other officials at the Public Health Department. Is that correct? Informing City Council?
Yes, Chair Favor.
And now that the mask mandate is lifted, what does this mean for businesses? Can they still mandate masks?
Businesses may certainly ask individuals to continue to mask in their facilities, especially if they have employees who may be immunocompromised or spending time around those who are immunocompromised. as well. So yes, that is a business decision.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Yes, Council President Harden.
Thank you, Chair Favor. And really, my comments are to say thank you. Thank you to Dr. Roberts for her leadership over the last 2 years. It's almost exactly 2 years since she sat in the office behind me and told us about this virus and what it would mean for our community. Thank you to all the folks at Public Health, including Edward, who have worked diligently to keep us safe. Thank you to our police and fire. Thank you to our folks at the hospitals that have worked and the nurses who have worked without a break. But most of all, thank you to our residents. What we have gone through collectively over the last 2 years has been difficult. What we have asked of you has been difficult. Was hard. But because you knew what it meant for the person sitting next to you, the elderly person, the grandmother, the aunt with that compromised immune system, for that young boy who joined us at council when we instituted this mask mandate in September, who had just got over cancer, 5 or 6 years old. Because you thought about him, you did it. It was hard. We didn't like it. No one enjoyed it, but we together did it. For that, we are grateful. We are grateful that we did this together, because that's who we are, and that is Columbus. We are now transitioning to a new phase of this as we move out of this pandemic. And there are still folks who, to Chair Favor's point, to Edward's point, who probably still need to wear a mask. And there are folks who will just choose to wear a mask at the bar, at church, at the grocery store. That is fine. That is okay. What we do not want to see, and what truthfully we will not really accept as a community, is folks who will shame folks for the personal choice of how they will protect themselves and their families. Everybody has a right to do what they need to do to keep themselves safe. And so we expect that out of our residents. We expect that out of our community, and I know that that will be the case. So again, on behalf of this council, on behalf of the leadership of this city, we just say thank you for us doing this together. We did this together. We're not out of it, but we're a lot better off and a lot better than we were when we put this mask mandate into place. Thank you, Chair.
Well, I would also echo the round of appreciation to Dr. Roberts, to Mayor Ginther, to my colleagues for making some tough decisions that were unpopular over the last 2 years. To the residents of Columbus and Franklin County, thank you for your continued patience and diligence and being proactive at tackling the pandemic in the best way that we all knew how. What we're doing tonight does not mean that we should throw caution to the wind. And so we would ask that you continue to use the policies that we have implemented over the last few years, those practices of hand washing and staying at a certain distance from folks if need be, or just wearing a mask if you feel personally comfortable in wearing one. I will wear one if I'm in highly populated areas because that's just my level of comfortability. But we all do have to do what's best for us to ensure that we can continue to keep our numbers low, and that if another variant pops up, that we will be in the best situation possible to enforce a mandate if we have to, or to combat it and keep the effects of that pandemic, of that variant, down as low as possible. So once again, thank you all for the work that we have done collectively as a community over the past 2 years. With that, I'd move for passage.
Actually, Madam Chair, I think we have a speaker on this.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. Moving too fast.
What's up with these police not having body cams?
Ms. Roble, one
Welcome back
second.
to council, sir.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and any organization that you may represent.
Sure. My name's Charles Roble. I'm just a conservative resident. I don't claim to represent anyone. So yeah, if you guys are keeping in contact with Priscilla Tyson, I hope she's doing all right. Hope she's improving. I don't know what's going on there. I probably should have checked. So yeah, I've been coming here for like 3 years talking to you guys about changing the name and then the side quest, taking the COVID seriously. There's like thousands of issues, you know, potholes, and I know that a sign was flipped over into the road the other week, and I called, you know, the non-emergency line, and later that day it was taken care of. So, you know, some things in this city work, other things unfortunately don't work. So yeah, I hope you all will call out Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger for having a ton of people not wear masks at his event last week or last weekend. You know, Schwarzenegger, he said like it's no big deal to give up our freedom for medical safety, and then he undermines this mask ordinance that y'all are repealing right now. So, President Hardin, you didn't wear masks for me at 5 different meetings. Same with Councilmember Remy, even though I asked them to, which may have violated the original mask ordinance. It definitely violated the mask equal kindness prescriptive norm that y'all forced us to subsidize. The media was here when the second mask mandate was passed, September 13th. And if you remember, I asked you guys to wear masks at that meeting, Hardin and Remy, and they tried to play me out as, you know, an anti-mask activist. They took video of me yelling at them to get their masks on, and then they spliced it with those protesters. And there still aren't police body cams when we had a ton of protesters here. You guys, Hardin and Brown, you guys met with protesters like 2 to 3 years ago when left-wing protesters shut down City Hall. So, yeah, sorry to be out of breath. Anywho, if you guys are going to pass laws that nobody follows, that seems pretty ridiculous. Like, if we're going to have the Schwarzenegger event, have people not follow the law, you guys should have just repealed the law before the event. So, yeah, I mean, I'll send you guys an email with the rest of this stuff at some point. But, yeah, I mean, originally I thought you guys, you know, were in control and maybe you're bad actors. But when we see, you know, Epstein get killed and, you know, John Brunel suicided, sorry, I have no idea how he died. But, you know, we still have Abigail Wexner on OSU's board. They won't give us all the JFK files. And then the media just completely lies about citizens coming to ask for people to follow the mask
Mr.
orders.
Roble, your time is up.
Cool.
Thank you for your testimony this evening.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, the media is just out of control.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Are there any additional questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Is there a second? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Ordinance is passed.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jacob? The next committee to come before council is the Economic Development Committee, chaired by Councilmember Bankson. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Have several ordinances this evening for second reading in economic development. First, we have Ordinance 0410-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with West 70 Logistics Land LLC for a tax abatement of 75 years for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $46,500,000 in real property improvements and the creation of 63 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $2,680,000. To my council colleagues, this ordinance, along with the next 4 ordinances on the agenda, are a package of enterprise zone agreements with West 70 Logistics Land LLC. This bundle of speculative development, or what we like to refer to as proactive development on the west side, will bring a total of 232 new jobs with $241 million in capital improvement. So we are really excited about this opportunity that's coming to the Westland and Far West area commissions of our community. As you all may have noted, we've seen a lot of movement in the industrial speculative development space as of late, and there is a reason for that. The COVID-19 pandemic has increased consumer reliance on online shopping and also caused international manufacturing and shipping disruptions, which has led many manufacturers to increase domestic warehouse inventory and onshore manufacturing operations. As a result, demand for industrial space is well located. Communities like Columbus has soared. Proactively abating industrial properties creates at the ready industrial sites in close proximity to our opportunity neighborhoods. In order to earn the 10-year incentive, tenants occupying the abated facilities are required to fulfill job creation commitments and partner with the city to create workforce development programs that will prepare local residents for the newly created jobs. In attendance this evening, we have Jed Breeze, who's representing West 70 Logistics Land LLC, to speak more about this particular project. Jeb, are you present with us on WebEx? Or in?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you.
All right.
So, the council, thank you very much for the opportunity. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I speak now, or?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to speak out of turn. So, to the council, thank you very much for the opportunity to come before you this evening. West 70 Logistics Land is an affiliate of TPA Group, which is a private real estate investment acquisition and development firm based in Atlanta. We invest and develop nationally across most product sectors, most heavily in industrial, but also office and residential. We've transacted many billions of dollars since inception and currently have over 60 projects underway, totaling 35 million square feet and $2 billion of investment across the country, including 2 buildings we completed in Etna, just to the east. We completed 2 1 million square foot distribution centers in 2020. In 2021, one leased by Amazon and another purchased by Ashley Furniture. And we're starting another one, 1.3 million square feet in Pataskala this May. West 70 Logistics is a approximately 1.8 million square foot industrial park on 105 acres. It's located approximately 1 mile south of I-70 on Hilliard-Rome Road, bounded on the north by Fisher and on the south by Manor Park. We intend to build all Class A tilt wall construction, attractive entrance features, abundant glass, and ample parking for cars and trucks. Our current plan is to develop 2 buildings initially on a speculative basis, a traditional 550,000 square foot cross-dock distribution center and a 300,000 square foot freezer cooler building. Both of those will start in May of 2022. So appreciate your consideration and happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you for that, Jeb. And again, I think it just shows the economic engine that Columbus is becoming a leader in the logistics field. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Next, in Economic Development Committee, we have Ordinance 0411-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with West 70 Logistics Land LLC for a tax abatement of 75 years for 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $50,700,000 in real property improvements and the creation of 69 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $2,930,000. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Next, in economic development, we have Ordinance 0412-2022 to authorize the Director of Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with West 70 Logistics Land LLC for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $32,500,000 in real property investments and the creation of 31 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,320,000. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Next is Ordinance 0413-2022 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with West 70 Logistics Land LLC for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $46,500,000 in real property improvements and the creation of 31 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,320,000. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Next is 0414-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with West 70 Logistics Land LLC for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $64,700,000 in real property improvements and the creation of 38 new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,620,000. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And lastly, in this package is Ordinance 0475-2022 to authorize, next we have Ordinance 0475-2022. This is to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with COI Alkire Industrial, LLC, for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $20 million in real property improvements and the creation of 37 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,154,400. Similar to the previously 5 ordinance, this ordinance, along with the next one, are for 2 speculative industrial buildings that will bring 74 new jobs with a $40 million in a capital investment. And overall, this project, plus the last 5 ordinances that we read with West 70 project, will bring a total of 306 jobs and have an investment of $281 million. And so we're really excited about these investments. In attendance tonight, we have Bryce Harrison representing COI Alkire Industrial LLC to speak more about this particular project. Bryce?
Everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Welcome to council.
Perfect. Well, good evening, council, and thank you, Councilman Bankson, for the overview. Again, Bryce Harrison, Van Trust Real Estate, 950 Goodale Boulevard, Suite 100, Columbus, Ohio, 43212. COI Alkire Industrial is an affiliate of Van Trust Real Estate, which is headquartered in Kansas City, Missouri, with regional offices in Phoenix, Dallas, Columbus, and Jacksonville. Tonight, wanted to talk to you about our project, which is a 2-building project on the corner of Alkire and Norton Road, directly adjacent to the Bolton Field Airport. The vacant ground is owned by the airport or the Columbus Regional Airport Authority and is in a long-term ground lease with COI Alkire currently. We're really excited about the project and your support to get this ground into production to meet demand you'll see across the country, but also in Columbus for industrial space. It also gets ground into production and provides a revenue stream for the airport. So again, very excited. This building, the first building will be a 332,000 square foot industrial building that we'll look to kick off this fall and hopefully find either a growing business in Columbus or somebody new to the area. And then the second building, which will be of similar size, will kick off once that first building is successfully leased up. Happy to answer any questions. And again, very excited to be doing business in Columbus and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bryce. And again, just to reiterate, the far west side and the Westland area commissions of our city continuing to grow, continue to expand. 306 new jobs, $281 million in investment. So we're really excited. If there's no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And last, in the Economic Development Committee, we have Ordinance 0476-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with COI Alkire Industrial LLC for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed capital investment of $20 million in real property improvements and the creation of 37 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,154,400. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. Can I move on to the Technology Committee?
Please.
Tonight in the Technology Committee for second reading, we have Ordinance 0468-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Technology to modify a contract on behalf of the City Attorney's Office with Matrix Point Software LLC to procure additional licenses for the Civil Case Management Module of the ongoing Records Management Platform project, to waive the competitive bidding requirements of Chapter 329 of Columbus City Code, to authorize the amendment of the 2021 capital improvements budget, to authorize the transfer of cash and appropriations of $113,000 between projects within Information Services Capital Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of $37,375 for the above described purpose. This will authorize entering into a contract with Matrix Point Software on behalf of the City Attorney's Office for the procurement and implementation of Matrix's Civil Case Management Module. It was determined that 10 additional licenses were needed to ensure access to the system by the Division of Income Tax, and this ordinance modifies the contract established by Ordinance 1876-2021 to add those additional licenses. And lastly, the ordinance authorizes a waiver of the competitive bidding requirements because it is a contract modification and to maintain continuity in the project. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And lastly, in the Technology Committee, we have Ordinance 0505-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Technology to enter into contract with Vertiv Corporation for annual maintenance and related services associated with the uninterrupted power supply systems in accordance with sole source provisions of Columbus City Code, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the City of Columbus Code, to authorize the Director of the Department of Technology to enter into contract with Vertiv Corporation for heating, cooling, and ventilation system and various equipment maintenance, and to authorize the expenditure of $199,128.38 from the Department of Technology Information Services Division Information Services Operating Fund. This is just a contract for ongoing maintenance that we have at the Department of Technology's data center, in particular the Vertiv technology is unique to our building, and so going directly to contract with them for the ongoing maintenance is in the best interest of the city. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I will move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President Harden. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Barosa de Padilla. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I have two ordinances today in public service. 0473-2022 to amend the 2021 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of funds within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Development to enter into professional contract services with CHA Consulting Incorporated for the UIRF Livingston Avenue Pedestrian Safety Study, to authorize the expenditures of up to $150,000 from the Streets and Highway Bond Fund to pay for this contract and to declare an emergency. So this project is part of a larger, exciting, community-driven plan to make improvements along the Livingston Avenue corridor. The project is endorsed by the Livingston Avenue Area Commission. The study will cover the area along the corridor in the Driving Park neighborhood from 18th Street to Nelson Road, and the study will provide a picture of the existing corridor conditions such as traffic volume and speeds, pedestrian activity, transit service, available right-of-way, and crash patterns. And it's expected to be completed in a year. So do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next is 0507-2022 to amend the 2021 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of funds and appropriation within the Street and Highway Improvement Non-Bond Fund, tongue twister, to authorize the Director of Public Service to reimburse various property owners for the replacement of concrete curbs, to authorize the expenditure of up to $100,000 for curb reimbursement from the Street and Highway Improvement Non-Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. So the department typically makes curb repairs on a street at the same time that it's resurfaced. So this may take years for this to transpire. So the curb replacement and repair program allows the opportunity for individual business owners to follow identified steps on the website that I will refer you to in a moment, and standards to repair or replace worn curbs with new curbs that legally and safely accommodate motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists. The funding authorizes property owners to be reimbursed for the cost of replacing deteriorated concrete curb through the curb repair program. So for more information, you can call 614-645-0618. Again, that's 614-645-0618, or email columbuspermits at columbus.gov. So I'm sorry, that's COLS permits at columbus.gov. If you have any challenges after going through that process, please contact my office and we can help you. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. May I move on with neighborhoods?
Please.
Immigrants, migrants, and refugees. 0686-2022 Neighborhoods Resettlement Agency Funds, to authorize the city clerk to enter into grant agreements with Us Together and Community Refugee and Immigration Services in support of capacity building for resettling immigrants and refugees, to authorize an appropriation and expenditure with the Neighborhoods Initiative Subfund, and to declare an emergency. For over a century, the city of Columbus has been a city that has welcomed immigrants and refugees. Those who have had to flee poverty, war, corruption, or oppression have found a new home here in Columbus, or one where they can find safety, security, and prosperity. This is due in large part to the compassion, dedication, and hard work of our city's resettlement agencies. These organizations work in coordination with the U.S. Department of State and other local partners to ensure that refugees and immigrant families like mine have the opportunity and the resources necessary to find sanctuary in their new home. I'd like to open it up to my colleagues for any questions or comments they may have.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rosa de Padilla. I want to start off by thanking you for introducing this ordinance to council this evening. I also want to thank Council President Harden for his commitment to making this happen. This legislation is a continuation of our declaration and commitment to being a welcoming city. We are so fortunate to live in a city with resettlement agencies who work tirelessly to welcome heroes and survivors from around the world, including most recently those from Ukraine. Because this work is so essential, I want to take a moment to thank and express my appreciation of Nadia Kasvin and the Us Together team, and of course Angie Plummer and the Community Refugee and Immigration Services team, also known as CRIS. I'd also be remiss if I didn't recognize our newest resettlement agency, Ethiopian Tawahedo Social Services, also known as ETSS, led by Dr. Seleshi Asfal and his team. Being a welcoming city and community is more than simply declaring that status. It takes continuous support, education, and rolling up our sleeves to do everything we can to earn that status. For this, I want to thank the countless public, private, and nonprofit organizations who make this commitment every day to our current and future residents, and know that those that are on their journey today because of the oppression and the violence created by a ruthless dictator in Russia that may be coming towards the United States and hopefully towards Columbus, they will be welcomed with open arms, and the support will be there for them. That is all I have. Thank you.
And thank you, Councilmember Remy, for putting forth the resolution last week in honor of the Ukraine. Are there any other comments from my colleagues? Yes, Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Councilmember Remy, to all of my colleagues for supporting this resolution or this ordinance to support the resettlement agencies in Columbus. It is the most recent war in Ukraine, and the videos that we're seeing hourly coming out of that country of women and children and families literally leaving everything that they have with a book bag is truly just a reminder that that is so many folks' stories, and that for so many, their welcome to this city is through Chris or through Us Together. And I'm just grateful to serve on a council that would join hands with and serve a city that would allow us to support an organization to welcome those new brothers and sisters into this community. So it's $100,000. It's not much, but it's our commitment, our continued commitment to opening our arms and doing all that we can to make sure that those folks who are now have to call Columbus home, that this will be the easy part or the easier part of a long, hard journey. So thank you for your leadership.
I also want to acknowledge before I move for passage and want to call out all of the businesses and neighborhoods that even in small ways have shown solidarity for the Ukraine. And we continue to do that as a community, whether it's showing lights or support on social media or signs in front of your homes. Thank you for continuing to make Columbus a welcoming place for all people. So with that, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bankston,
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla,
Yes.
Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorrance, Ms. Favor, Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you. That's all for me this evening.
Oh,
Should I move to,
yeah.
yes?
You have one more ordinance, please.
I'm just kidding. That's not all for me this evening. So I do have one ordinance in Health and Human Services, 0547-2022, to authorize the Board of Health to modify an existing contract with The Ohio State University for the provision of technical assistance services for the period of September 30th, 2021 through September 29th, 2022, to authorize the expenditure of $19,000 from the Health Department Grants Fund to pay the cost thereof and to declare an emergency. The Columbus Public Health, CPH, is participating in the STD Surveillance Network, SSUN program to better understand behavioral, demographic, and clinical information on STD cases, and will allow CPH and the CDC to better understand the epidemiology of STDs and to inform national and local STD prevention efforts. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? I move to amend 30-day legislation.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bankston,
Abstain.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla,
Yes.
Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorrance,
Yes.
Ms. Faber, Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is amended.
I move to waive second reading.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bankston,
Abstain.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla,
Yes.
Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorrance, Ms. Faber, Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes.
I move for passage as amended.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bankston,
Abstain.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla,
Yes.
Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorrance, Ms. Faber, Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you. That really is all for me this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Finance Committee, chaired by President Pro Tem. President Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in Finance, we have Ordinance 0534-2022 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to contract with Experience Columbus for marketing services to increase tourism and convention business and strengthen the image of the city of Columbus, Ohio, to authorize the expenditure of $8,130,000 from the Hotel Motel Excise Tax Fund and to declare an emergency. Experience Columbus is I'm sorry, one second. Orienting myself here. Experience Columbus is the County Convention and Visitors Bureau and provides marketing services to increase tourism and convention business. The city funds this organization annually through a portion of the revenues collected from the hotel motel tax, also known as the bed tax. This ordinance authorizes the Finance and Management Director to enter into contract with Experience Columbus for marketing services to increase tourism and convention business for our city. As a point of reference, in 2019, it was projected that $10,472,000 in bed taxes would be dispersed to Experience Columbus at a time when more people were traveling to Columbus and staying at our hotels. For 2022, while tourism and convention activity is greatly improved compared to the last 2 years of the pandemic, the projected hotel motel revenue that Experience Columbus will receive remains below pre-pandemic levels at $8,130,000. This emergency action is requested so that the bed tax proceeds can be dispersed without delay to ensure timely payment so that marketing services, increasing tourism and convention business can continue in Columbus with no interruption in service. I do want to acknowledge that Brian Ross is here. And Linda Logan. I'm surprised I can still recognize people with masks on, but you know, I got my eye on you. Thank you for being here and for your hard work. I just read some numbers, which are numbers on a page, but that's very real dollars for you and your work. And what the organization does for Columbus. So I want to acknowledge your ongoing efforts throughout this pandemic to handle an ever-changing picture. Do any of my colleagues have any comments or questions? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorrance, Faber, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And President Harden, that's all I have in finance, but before I move to Rec and Parks, I do believe that Vice Chair Bankston has a piece in finance.
Thank you, President Pro Tem and Madam Chair. Next, in the Finance Committee for second reading, we have Ordinance 0626-2022 to authorize the issuance of limited tax bonds in an amount not to exceed $20,800,000 for the purposes of financing the cost of constructing the Astor Park parking garage and to declare an emergency. This ordinance is essentially replaces the current financing mechanism for the parking garage construction with one that is more appropriate, selling bonds to raise the capital necessary to pay for the construction. If there are any comments or questions, if there are no comments or questions, from my colleagues, seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bankston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Faber? Yes. Mr. Remy? Yes. President Harden?
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you, and that's all we have in Finance Committee. President Pro Tem.
Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bankston. Thank you, President Harden. Moving along to Recreation and Parks Committee, we have Ordinance 0151-2022 to authorize and direct the Director of Recreation and Parks to accept a grant from the Ohio Department of Education in the amount of $2,500,000 for the 2022 Summer Food Program, to authorize the appropriation of $2,500,000 to the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund, to enter into an agreement with the Columbus City Schools in the amount of $2,300,000 for the preparation and delivery of meals for the summer food program, and to authorize the expenditure of $2,300,000 from the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund. This ordinance authorizes and directs the Director of Recreation and Parks to accept a grant from the Ohio Department of Education in the amount of $2.5 million for the operation of our this summer's food service program. And the food service program is put on through a partnership between USDA, the Ohio Department of Education, Columbus Recreation and Parks, and Columbus City Schools. For many years, these partners have worked together to provide nutritionally balanced breakfast, lunches, and snacks to children in need during the summer months. But since the pandemic, this program has been filling a particularly urgent need. Our funding support to programs like the summer food program ensures Columbus children do not fall through the cracks, especially over summer break. I am proud to be a part of a city council that recognizes the importance for all children to gain access to nutritious meals beyond just the school year. The program will serve approximately 150,000 breakfast meals, 250,000 lunch meals, and 90,000 snacks. Thousands of children will be served through this program at 150 to 200 sites throughout the greater Columbus area. As an aside, I have visited many summer food program sites, as I know my colleagues have, and there's food being served there, but even beyond that, there's really community being served there. You see youth, you see brothers, sisters, coming together. Our Recreation and Parks Department has done an incredible job of adapting, in partnership with others and Children's Hunger Alliance and others, adapting the delivery of these meals to build as much community as possible, to really foster not just better nutrition, but again, better experiences for youth in the summer. So this is a really important piece of legislation every year. And I want to thank Director Reese and her team at Recreation and Parks for helping our young residents get this basic need met, and for all the work that she and her team do throughout the summer months. Of course, this program could not be run without the hardworking members of the Ohio Association of Public School Employees Food Services staff at Columbus City Schools. So a special thank you to the staff for their continued dedication to providing healthy meals to our communities year-round. It does not go unnoticed. Any comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee, the final committee to come before council is the Public Utilities Committee chaired by Councilmember Dorans. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in Public Utilities, we have ordinance number 0407-2022 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with American Suncraft Co. for the North District Water Tank 2022 painting improvement project, to authorize a transfer and expenditure of up to $2,114,521.25 within the Water General Obligation Voted Bond Fund to provide for a payment of prevailing wage services the Department of Public Service, and to authorize an amendment to the 2021 capital improvement budget. There are currently 38 water tanks in our distribution system, and 26 of them are maintained by the City of Columbus Division of Water. To keep these tanks in optimal condition, each year tank interiors or exteriors are identified to be recoated. This project provides painting improvements for the maintenance of these steel elevated water storage tanks, which will keep the tanks in optimal condition and prolong their service life. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance number 0456-2022 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter a construction contract with Facemar Landscaping LLC, DBA Facemar Company for the roof redirection blueprint North Linden 1 entering Parkwood project to authorize the appropriation transfer of $1,221,378.47 from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund to Ohio Water Development Loan Fund to authorize the appropriation expenditure of $1,221,378.47 in the Ohio Water Development Loan Fund to authorize an expenditure of up to $2,000 for prevailing wage service to the Department of Public Services within the Sanitary General Obligation Voted Bond Fund and to amend the 2021 capital improvement budget. This project redirects roof laterals to prevent excess stormwater from entering the city's sanitary sewer system, which will mitigate water in basements and sanitary sewer overflows in the North Linden planning area. Public meetings were conducted to solicit public feedback regarding the project and descriptions of the work associated with the project that are included on the City of Columbus website. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there any further business coming before council? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
We have two non-agenda speakers to come before council. The first being Oh, wow. And Jacob, look at Jacob's hair. Jacob and Remy have the same. Regular meeting number 12 will now come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorans chairs that committee. All members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Before beginning tonight's zoning agenda, I want to thank everyone who participated in or watched our zoning committee public hearing last Wednesday, where we discussed updates to the committee procedures and future updates to the zoning code. For those who are still interested in the topic, you can the hearing. You can still watch it on Council's Facebook or YouTube pages. But moving forward, I want to explain the rules of council as pertain to speaking before the council on zonings and variances. Before moving forward, I will be swearing in city staff at the beginning of this meeting. We will only hear a staff presentation for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have public speakers who've signed up to speak against the ordinance. Ordinances that have approval from all city departments, the Development Commission, and the Area Commission or Civic Association. I will not request a staff presentation, again, unless a public speaker has signed up to speak against said ordinance. A representative of the Area Commission or applicant are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not need to fill out a speaker slip. All speakers on council variances, including the area commissioners, applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in prior to giving testimony. We received 3 speaker slips for tonight's committee hearing. However, one individual has chosen not to speak. On the advice of the city attorney's office, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under the pains or penalties of perjury? If so, please say I do. Please let the record show that Tim Dietrich from the Department of Building and Zoning Services and Dan Blechschmidt from the Department of Public Service have been sworn in. First tonight in the Zoning Committee, we have zoning 0538-2022 to rezone 6357 North Hamilton Road, being 2.23 plus acres located on the south side of the North Hamilton Road, 200 plus feet south of Glen Abbey Drive, from the CPD Commercial Planning Development District to LM Limited Manufacturing District. The applicant is Cardinal Storage, care of Jill Tankerman, attorney. The proposed use is a self-storage facility. The City Department's recommendation is approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval. The Rocky Fork Black Lake Accord Implementation Panel recommendation is approval, 6-1. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have variance 0539-2022 to grant a variance from the provisions of section 3312.27, parking setback line, and 3363.24, buildings in an M manufacturing district of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 6357 North Hamilton Road to permit reduced setbacks for a self-storage facility in the LM Limited Manufacturing District. The applicant is Cardinal Storage, Self-Storage, care of Jill Tangerman, attorney. The proposed use is a self-storage facility. The city recommends approval. The Rocky Fork Black Lake Accord Implementation Panel recommendation is approval, 6-1. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I now move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 0559-2022 to grant a variance in provisions of section 3332.035, R3 Residential District, 3312.49, minimum number of parking spaces required, 3332.05, area district lot width requirements, 3332.13, R3 area district requirements, 3332.18D, basis of computing area, 3332.19, fronting, 3332.26, minimum side yard, and 3332.27, rear yard of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 419 South Champion Avenue to permit a 3-unit dwelling and a carriage house on a lot with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. The applicant is Maplecraft LLC, care of Gary Dunn, agent. The proposed use is a 3-unit dwelling and a carriage house. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Near East Side Area Commission recommendation is approval, 7-2. We received 2 speaker slips tonight against this ordinance. So at this time, I will request a staff presentation. Mr. Dietrich.
Good evening, Chair Dorans, President Harden, members of council. The site consists of 1 undeveloped parcel zoned in the R3 residential district. The requested council variance will permit the construction of a 3-unit dwelling and a single-unit dwelling carriage house above a detached garage, a total of 4 dwelling units on 1 lot. The council variance is necessary because the R3 district permits only single-unit dwellings. The request includes variances to lot width, area district requirements, lot coverage, fronting, side and rear yards, and a parking reduction from 6 parking spaces to 2. The site is within the planning area of the Near East Area Plan, which does not recommend a specific land use for this location. but does recommend that new housing be consistent with housing types, density, and the development pattern of the neighborhood. City staff supports the requested variance as the proposal is consistent with the housing types and density in the surrounding area and incorporates high-quality building materials that are compatible with the plan's design guidelines, and therefore City Department's recommendation is for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dietrich. I wanted to call the first of our public speakers up to the podium, Mr. Randy Eckert. Mr. Eckert? Mr. Eckert, when you get to the podium, I'll need to swear you in before you speak before council. Mr. Eckert, I'm going to swear you in now. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under pains of penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Eckert, the floor is yours.
All right. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Randy Eckert. I am resident 423 South Champion. I am standing here, the direct neighbor to the south of this proposed property. I am opposed to this project and the 8 variances required to be able to build said property, and these are the reasons. The proposed house and the variances requested would greatly impair any adequate supply of light and air to my house, especially with the variances requested of the side yard being only 3 feet from my property. This is also a fire hazard for my house, which was built in 1899 and has wood siding. We currently have the 300-gallon trash cans in the alley, and they fill up, as far as trash is concerned, they fill up each week. There's not enough dumpster space in these trash cans to accommodate 4 more units and would add to the litter in the alley. In addition, where would the existing or added dumpsters be placed on the lot with variances asked for? Lot area, lot coverage, side yard, rear yard, lot width, and allowable units. For the lot size, it wouldn't fit where it is now, and I don't want it put on my property. This will unreasonably increase the congestion of public streets. The parking on South Champion is already hard to come by. There already are 2 single-family houses on that block and a 4-unit across the street without any off-street parking. And to add 4 more units would make a bad problem even worse. The proposed house would unreasonably diminish or impair my established property. I wouldn't be able to see anything out of my north-facing windows except the side of this building. Also, this would block my view anywhere on my property from being able to see anything to the north. This house would make me lose all privacy in my backyard with 4 units of windows and families looking into my yard. Also, I don't feel this house fits the neighborhood. We have seen adequate growth within the last 5 years of being here and bringing the neighborhood back to life. Most of the houses and buildings that were originally single-family residences and were converted into multifamily are being changed back into single-family houses. Isn't this why there are zoning regulations in the first place? The fact that they are requesting 8 variances is a true sign that this building is too big and dense for the size and location of this lot. I think it is absurd to ask for 8 variances, and I thank you for your time and your cooperation and request to deny this variance application.
Thank you, Mr. Eckhart. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Mr. Eckhart? Mr. Eckhart, did you have an opportunity to speak before the Area Commission?
No, this is the first I've heard of this.
Okay, and you will provide notice through the mail of tonight?
For tonight, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Any colleagues, any questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Eckhart.
Thank you.
The next public speaker we have before us tonight is Mr. Eric Fisher. Mr. Fisher? Mr. Fisher, I'm going to go ahead and swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under the pains or penalties of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Mr. Fisher, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare. I just found out about this last week before I left out of town. But at least I appreciate the opportunity to get up here and speak. Not full of, I don't have a whole lot of words, I'm not as eloquent as Randy, but it looks like this thing is just way oversized for our little tiny neighborhood. It just seems like an out-of-town developer's coming in trying to maximize as much money as they can out of this little piece of property. Specifically, I don't think it should be a four-person or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't believe we should allow 4 different housing units on that small piece of land. It should either be 1, maybe 2. I'd be open to a variance of a 2-family home. Lack of green space, lack of parking, and the carriage house facing the alleyway does not seem to fit in with the consistency of the neighborhood. It just doesn't seem to fit the way it is, and I just wanted to speak my mind.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Mr. Fisher?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would now like to ask the applicants, I believe Mr. Gary Dunn is here on behalf of the applicant for a presentation. And Mr. Dunn, if you could, I will need to swear you in as well. Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains or penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
Gary Dunn, Maplecraft Custom Homes, 5863C Zarley Street, New Albany, Ohio. So I do represent an out-of-town developer, so I will agree to that. I understand the issue of people not wanting density. I think the city has looked at that and addressed that and felt that that was in keeping with other projects that have gone on in the area. The issue of the house blocking a view, or our project blocking a view, any single family home would have had the same impact on that view. So I don't think that that's specifically a reason to deny us. Our effort in design was to make this look as absolutely residential, single family looking as possible. And our secondary aim was to deliver more reasonably priced real estate to potential purchasers. Our sales pricing will be in the mid 200s, with the carriage house being just slightly under 200. But as we look at properties that are sold in the neighborhood, they're much higher than that, and we're literally pushing affordability out of the window for this area with homes that are being built there. So that was our aim. We think we have a good project. I also wanted to comment the 3-foot area, we will be building that with fire-rated material, and it's only a short portion of the project as the house or the project steps back just beyond that spot. So for the most of the building, we have well over 5 feet. So that's really all I have to say. Answer any questions.
Do my colleagues have any questions? Mr. Dunn, could you talk about, is there fencing between the adjacent properties with what's being built there?
There currently isn't any intention to fence. We wouldn't be necessarily opposed to that if it was felt that that would help the situation. Certainly the issue, and I aim to say that, the issue of the trash, excuse me, the issue of the trash, we will have a concrete apron at the garage and provide for those on the property behind the garage.
Well, I think we have 2 adjoining property owners tonight who I think have some concern about privacy.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I would expect the applicant to work with the folks there to sort of address those privacy concerns. And I think that's, anytime you have lived in an area and all of a sudden there's a new thing that's there, and again, in dense parts of the city,
houses can be very close.
Absolutely.
Being asked about here tonight, I think there should be an expectation that we work with those property owners and establishing that type of.
Absolutely happy to do that.
Any of those comments? Is there a representative from the commission that's here?
You know it, okay.
With that, we have, this project has been supported by the area commission, it's been supported by city staff. I think some of the.
Thank you, Mark. With that, we do not have a representative of the Area Commission who is here. However, this project has been supported by the Near East Area Commission 7-2. We've heard testimony from several adjoining property owners. We've heard testimony from the applicant here today. The project has been supported by city staff, so at this point, I feel comfortable with moving forward. So do my colleagues have any questions or comments at this point? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of council, or findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Adopt it.
Next, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have rezoning 0584-2022 to rezone 650 Cleveland Avenue, being 0.46 plus acres located in the southeast corner of Cleveland Avenue and Brenton Woods Drive from the LC2 Limited Commercial District to AR1 Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Bart Overly Architect. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval. The Northland Community Council's recommendation is approval. 733. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have ordinance number 0585-2022 to grant a variance from the provisions of section 3312.272, parking setback line, and 333.24 rear yard of the Columbus City Codes. The property located at 6050 Cleveland Avenue to permit reduced development standards for a 10-unit apartment building in the AR1 Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Bart Overly Architect. The proposed use is a 10-unit apartment building. The city department's recommendation is approval. The Northland Community Council recommendation is approval, 8-5. If there are no questions, or do I have my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Adopt it.
Next, I move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Amend it.
And finally, I move for passage as amended.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have rezoning 0589-2022 to rezone 4591 Indianola Avenue from being 0.16 plus acres located on the west side of Indianola Avenue, 120 plus feet north of Wetmore Road, from the R3 Residential District to C2 Commercial District. The applicant is a 4591 Indianola Avenue, care of Curtis Knapp, attorney. The proposed use is office use. The city department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval. The Clintonville Area Commission recommendation is approval. We did have one speaker slip signed in favor to speak on this ordinance tonight from Mr. Curtis Knapp, but he has since chosen not to speak before the body. As a reminder, if he were to speak before the body, he would not have to be sworn in because this is a rezoning and not a variance. Also, because this application received approval from all the recommending bodies, no one is speaking against it. We will not require a staff presentation. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have rezoning 0590-2022 to rezone 7272 Huntington Park Drive, being 5.04 plus acres located at the east side of Huntington Park Drive, 1,300 plus feet southeast of Horizon Drive from CPD Commercial Plan Development District to LAR2 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Diversified Acquisitions LLC, care of Rebecca Mott, attorney. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval. The Far North Side Coalition recommendation is approval, 7-2. At this time, I recommend, at the request of the applicant, I move to table this rezoning indefinitely.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Tabled.
Thank you. Next, we have variance 0591-2022 to grant a variance from provisions of section 3312.49, minimum number of parking spaces required, 3321.01 dumpster area, and 333.255 perimeter yard of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 7272 Huntington Park Drive to permit reduced development standards for an apartment complex in the LAR2 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Diversified Acquisition LLC, Rebecca Mott, attorney. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The city department's recommendation approval. The Far North Community Coalition recommendation is approval, 7-2. However, at this time, at the request of the applicant, I move to table indefinitely.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Tabled.
Thank you. Next, we have rezoning 0596-2022 to rezone 6617 Bryce Grove Boulevard, being 28.79 plus acres located in the intersection of Bryce Grove Boulevard and the south side of the Abbey Trails Drive, 1350 plus feet east of Gender Road, from the PUD 6 Plan Unit Development District to the LAR 12 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Steadfast REIT, care of Rebecca Mott, attorney. The proposed use of a multi-unit residential development. The city's department recommendations approval. The Development Commission's recommendations approval. The Greater Southeast Area Commission's recommendation is approval unanimously. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Next, we have variance 0598-2022 to grant a variance from the provisions of section 3333.02 AR12 ARLD AR1 Apartment Residential District use of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 6617 Bryce Grove Boulevard to permit a 2-unit dwelling as part of a multi-unit residential development in the LAR12 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is Steadfast REIT, care of Rebecca Mott, attorney. The proposed use of the multi-unit residential development. The city's department's recommendation is approval. The Greater Southeast Area Commission recommendation is approval unanimously. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Finally, in the committee tonight, we have variance 1198-2021 to grant a variance in provisions of section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3312.25 maneuvering, 3312.29 parking spaces, 3332.123 R3 Residential District, 3332.19 fronting, 3332.25 maximum side yard required, 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted, 3332.27 rear yard, and 3332.28 side or rear yard obstruction of the Columbus City Codes to property located at 2803 Fern Avenue to permit a 2-unit single dwelling on the same lot with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Rocco Natio. The proposed use is a 2 single-unit dwelling on one lot. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Northeast Area Commission's recommendation is disapproval. Due to the Northeast Area Commission's recommendation, we will now have a staff presentation for this application.
The site consists of one parcel developed with two single-unit dwellings in the R3 residential district. The requested council variance will legitimize a detached rear garage that has been converted into a single-unit dwelling. A council variance is required because the R3 district only permits one single-unit dwelling per lot. The variances for maneuvering, parking space, area district requirements, fronting, side yards, rear yard, and side yard obstruction are included in this request. The request is consistent with the Northeast Area Plan recommendation for low-density residential land uses. The request does not represent any new structures being proposed on the property and will not add any incompatible uses to the area, and therefore city departments recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dietrich. I don't believe we have anyone here from the Northeast Area Commission. However, we did speak with them, and they understand that the need to pass this variance application in order for the applicant to obtain the proper permits to get this property in compliance, something that can't be done if this variance is not passed. Based on that discussion with the Area Commission, they let us know that they're no longer in opposition to the specific application, and my team has agreed to hold a larger conversation with that Area Commission about permit issues so that we can hope to avoid this situation in the future with folks in that area of the city. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Adopt it. Oh, just joking. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Thank you. I move to, I'm sorry. Which one? I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council. Did we do that
Clerk,
one?
please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That is all we have in the zoning committee tonight.
Seeing no further business come before the zoning committee, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.